Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Scholar Chit Chat Podcast. If you are just coming across this podcast for the first time, welcome. This is Scholar Chit Chat Podcast, and here we're committed to bringing you relevant information, real stories, and practical advice to help you navigate your study abroad dreams through scholarships and graduate school opportunities. And to our returning listeners, we're glad to have you back. Welcome. So for this episode, I'm your host, and my name is Joan. And today we'll be talking about a Chinese scholarship, a scholarship in China. And as always, I'm not alone. I have a special guest with me, and he is a recipient of this scholarship and the best person to help us unpack everything there is to know about the scholarship. So I'll just let him introduce himself so that we can get an idea of who he is and what he has done and what he's currently doing. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joan. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to share my experience and hopefully provide practical insights that will help prospective applicants pursue their academic goals in China. Let me begin by saying my name is Ifeanyi Francis Merenini. I'm from Nigeria. I had my undergraduate at Federal University of Latvia, where I obtained a bachelor's degree in microbiology with first class honors. I also had my master's at Nanjing Medical University, where I studied. I majored in occupational and environmental health. And my research interest lies in the area of environmental and reproductive health, microbiology, and computational data analysis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, this is not the first time we're having him on this podcast. So I'm really happy to have you back and discuss this particular scholarship with us. Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning. So how and when did you hear about studying in China, and what motivated you to apply?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I first learned about this scholarship, that was in the year 2020, where I actually attended a live podcast similar to this. And, it was about an event where a scholar came out to talk about the China. That was my first time. And when I heard it at the first instance, I felt I am not really qualified for it. But I think moving on to, that was in 2022. Moving on to 2022, I summoned the courage to venture into applying for the Chinese government scholarship. And what attracted me most was I actually fell in love with the Chinese growing reputation in scientific research and technology, and also its investment in higher education and the opportunity to learn in a multicultural environment. So as someone who is interested in environmental and public health research, I saw China as an excellent place to gain advanced training by working with researchers from different parts of the world.
Okay, so what specific scholarship did you get?
I got the Chinese government scholarship, commonly known as the CSC Scholarship. And I found about it through the podcast event I attended, and then that actually motivated me in 2022 to go through the website. Like, I went through the CSC Scholarship website. So by regularly checking on when the scholarship, the dates for the advertisement, when it comes up for application, the application windows to be open. So I just went through the scholarship sites to get more info about what the scholarship entails.
Okay, so for those that are just hearing about the Chinese government scholarship for the first time, can you give us a brief overview of the scholarship and what it covers?
Thank you so much. The Chinese government scholarship is a fully funded scholarship that is offered by the China Scholarship Council, as I earlier mentioned. It generally covers free tuition, university accommodation, of a housing subsidy, depending on the university. It also offers a comprehensive medical insurance and a monthly living stipend. The exact benefits, it may vary slightly depending on the scholarship category and institution, but overall it provides substantial financial support that allows students to focus on their study. Yeah.
So, were there any additional expenses you had to manage yourself? That's maybe during the application process and just during the application process and going to China generally. What additional expenses did you cover?
Basically, yes, there were other additional expenses, but while I'll speak for myself, but because for me, I got the Type A scholarship, and the Type A is categorized into two. Before now, the first part is usually in bilateral agreements with the Nigerian government. That's the BEA, but which has been suspended. But the second part is the second part is you applying through the embassy. So for me, I also applied through the embassy as well as applying for the government support. So yes, there are additional expenses. So things like your personal expenses. If you're someone who actually live extravagantly, you understand, you'll need to actually budget for personal expenses such as additional food, local transportation, personal items, occasional travel. Yes, and for the records, it depends on the country. Like for instance, there are some countries that maybe they are low income countries. I think the Chinese government actually sponsors their air tickets. They sponsor their flights to China, but Nigeria is not part of the low medium income countries. I think we are in the medium income countries. So basically, you don't have that. So you should be able to budget for things like that, the flights, and then some other additional expenses. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer, and that's very good to know. So, now let's talk about the selection criteria. What are the selection criteria, and then how can someone looking to apply increase their chances of being selected?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this question. Thank you so much. The selection committee looks at your first academic performance, then 2, research potential, then 3, we have study plan or research proposal. But I usually advise for those who are going for their postgraduates to focus more on research proposal. It's very important. We also have recommendation letters. It must be very good, written by top professors or maybe doctors. Also, in some cases, you have language qualifications where required, especially if you are from non-English speaking countries. So usually they might request for that. But for the English speaking countries, I think basically if your bachelor's program is actually in English, you don't necessarily need that. And also lastly, which is most important is how well your background aligns with your intended program. So to improve your chances, you should maintain strong academic results. You should prepare a clear and realistic, I always prefer, research proposal. Then also obtain strong recommendation and apply to programs that genuinely match your academic interest and career goals.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so when you say when you said academic excellence, like, can you give us like a grade you consider as perfect for a Chinese government scholarship?
Yeah, usually in Chinese government scholarship, you should be top, like first class honors, second class upper. You can also have
Okay.
the second class lower, but you must have a very strong, maybe for other criteria, you must have you can have things like even supporting documents that you could attach,
Okay.
to back up your claims that yes, you are really strong enough to actually undertake the rigorous training, the rigorous masters or PhD training. Yeah.
Okay. So you only the scholarship is only for masters and PhD.
For Nigeria, it's
Okay.
basically masters and PhD. But for some other countries, depending on the countries, you see some of them, they give they also give room for undergraduate. But on that aspect, because you'll be needing the Chinese language, which is basically HSK.
Okay.
You'll be needing that, and
Okay.
usually they give that to the French-speaking countries, not Nigeria. That's for undergraduates, and
Okay.
you would also have it at the back of your mind that when you get such scholarship, basically your training will actually be in Chinese and not English.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. And okay, so the next question: how important are extracurricular activities or community service in the application?
Thank you so much for this question. Um, Yeah, while academic excellence is the primary focus, leadership and community engagement can also strengthen your application because
Okay.
they demonstrate initiative and commitment beyond the classroom. In my case, for
Okay.
instance, I did my master's is in occupational and environmental health. Now,
Okay.
in my CV, I wrote that I was engaged in environmental health sanitation.
Okay.
Yeah, where I had to even I have to copy a link where I did such, and then which was documented on YouTube. I had to get the link, so you don't necessarily need to question me if I really did it or not, because there are
Okay.
images of the activities that are actually executed. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
very important. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. Okay. Um, the next question: since China is not an English-speaking country, so many people assume that they need to speak before applying because they think they'll be taught in maybe Mandarin. So, what language was your program taught in?
Okay. Actually, it's not necessary that you must speak Mandarin before applying. If you if
Okay.
you if you can actually speak, it's an advantage, especially for easy communication. But many graduate programs in China are taught entirely in English. Usually, they have the Chinese version, which is for the Chinese students. They also have the
Okay.
English version for the English students, the foreign students, they say,
Okay.
not English students, the foreign students. So
Okay.
my program was taught in English, so I was required to demonstrate English proficiency, which is just to ascertain that my bachelor's program and my previous programs were actually in English, entirely in English. So I didn't need
Okay.
to present any IELTS documents or whatsoever. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so learning basic Chinese is very, very important because it's actually easier communication, and also you'll be able to adapt to the Chinese cultural experience. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So can maybe let's say international students that have JKS, can
HSK?
they HSK, sorry, HSK. Yes,
Yeah.
HSK, sorry. Can they apply for the Chinese, like you mentioned that there are courses for international students and then courses for Chinese students that are taught in Chinese. So can international students with the proficiency in Chinese apply for such courses?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Because it's
Okay.
one of the criteria that you should you're either proficient in English or Chinese language. So that
Okay.
doesn't mean because maybe you don't. If you have HSK, that's an advantage. It's an advantage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you
Okay.
can actually go in. You can. I think you can actually apply for even Chinese courses if you so desire.
Oh,
It all depends on on what you want.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that answer.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the application timeline. When does the application open? How long does the process take? And when should applicants be hoping for we're hoping to receive the final offer? So we'll just start from the when the application starts, the application, how long the application process takes, and then when offers are expected to start coming in.
Thank you so much for this question. Uh, Applications for the Chinese government scholarship usually it generally opens between November and January.
Okay.
Uh, Although the timeline varies by university, but for
Mm.
uh, usually you first of all apply through the CSC portal. That's
Okay.
where you begin your application. So usually it begins from November and between November and January. But sometimes it can. I think the last application, I think it ended around, I think towards April. So usually between that time,
Okay.
you're meant to apply. So it all depends. It depends on
Okay.
the the advertisement timeline given by the CSC, the Chinese Scholarship Council. Depends on that. So usually it starts from November and January, depending on the university. So sometimes it takes like several months with final admissions and scholarship result often released between May and July. But usually it's before the
Okay.
September intake. Yeah, like let's take
Okay.
for instance for me, the first thing is you get what we call pre-admission. Like for
Okay.
me, yeah, you get pre-admission after applying to CSE, then maybe you first of all get pre-admission depending on the school. Then I think during my time we got admission notice around. I think for me I got mine around the 5th of July. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the final admission notice, which is the scholarship itself. It's around July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's always good for the applicants to confirm the specific deadline on their choosing
Yeah.
university's website. Yeah, it's always good for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for that advice. Now let's talk about the application process. Can you walk us through the step-by-step process of the application and then the documents required for each stage?
Thank you so much. The process usually involves first you identify suitable universities.
Okay.
You don't just come into the portal and then you apply. You first of all identify the universities you want to go. You want to actually study in. Then you then confirm the application routes. Yeah, because some will tell definitely all for CSE it begins with the CSE portal. But some will tell you okay you need to apply to the university. But during my time I applied only the CSE portal. But I think along the line, I was told you still have to apply with the university. So you confirm the application route, you complete the CSC online application, you submit the university application if required, and also upload supporting documents. The supporting documents is also an important document you need to do. You need to submit. You understand, to show, just like I earlier mentioned, those community engagements, leadership skills, and others. So typically the documents include the academic transcripts, you have degree certificates, you have a study plan or research proposal. I always prefer a research proposal because it tells the professor that you really have an idea of what you want to do. You have you have a topic of interest you really want to work on. So you also have the recommendation letters, you have a valid passport, you also have the language proficiency certificate. Then also in most cases you have the foreign physical examination form, which is the medical examination form, and also any other additional documents. Hi, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so is it research proposal or study plan, or you have to split the both of them, or you just have to choose one?
You have to just choose one, but I always advise that you prepare a research proposal, because these professors, but if you are applying as an undergraduate, study plan can go, because basically your study does not require research. For undergraduates, you can actually design a study plan for undergraduates, but for postgraduate, I usually advise that you have a research proposal. You prepare a research proposal, because it's like a blueprint. You're telling the professor, okay, yes, I can think about a particular research topic. It might not necessarily be what the professor has in mind to do, but you trying to prepare a research proposal tells him, oh, I really know what I want to do. You get me? So it gets into him like, oh, this guy, I think he has a direction. But when you see his study plan, it's just like it's open. But for the research proposal, it's streamlined towards a particular topic. Unlike the study plan that is just broad, but he's not topic oriented. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. So for the physical examination form now, are you just going to go to any hospital, or there are particular hospitals that you have to go for the examination?
Yeah, thank you for this question. The foreign physical examination form, first, it's not just a kind of form you walk into a hospital or a medical report you get from the hospital. Usually you download the form. The form is usually updated every year online. You see you meant to type in foreign physical examination form. You see it. Usually each year there is always an update. So it's always good for you to verify that online. Then you don't just take it to any hospital. Usually you go to tertiary health institutions. Usually because for instance, the Chinese people believe that, you understand, results that are being gotten from those tertiary health institutions are usually valid as compared to the as compared to the primary health that you obtain from a tertiary health institutions like federal medical centers, maybe military hospitals. Also, usually they prefer such results because those results are assumed to be valid as compared to primary healthcare where someone can just put up something. So they usually prefer you going to a hospital that is well recognized by the government of your country. Where the results are usually valid. They're not falsified. They're valid. So usually you run series of tests. So and then that examination form must be stamped. It's not just signed. It must be stamped. Before it can be uploaded.
Okay, thank you very much. Now for the academic documents like certificates and transcripts, do they need to be maybe legalized or authenticated?
During the application process, it's not really necessary for you to legalize or authenticate it, but you can just submit your transcript and degree certificate, even if it. But be sure to know that once you're able to get the admission, you must authenticate and you must authenticate and legalize it. You must go through the Ministry of Education, then it must also be notarized. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and there should be a notary stamp. For both certificates, the transcript and the degree certificate. Yes.
Yeah. So you didn't talk about the police. Is it police character?
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that. Yes, the police character certificate (PCC), which should be obtained from the police. Usually, you don't get the handwritten one. You don't get the handwritten one. You get the electronic one, the electronic version. You mean to apply through the PCC, the police PCC website, and then and then you also need to legalize that when you get the admission. You also need to legalize that when you get the admission. First you legalize at the visa center, that's the Chinese embassy. Then you also I think first you have to go to foreign affairs, then you take it to the visa center to issue the apostille, that's the seal.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for that detailed explanation. Now let's talk about, you mentioned earlier the application track, that's the type A. So which particular one did you get, and which do you think is better for applicants to apply with?
Thank you so much. Actually, there are I think there are three types. The ones that are basically full scholarships, basically type A and type B. Both routes have advantages. Like for me, I was nominated by the embassy. I was nominated by the embassy. So I applied. After applying through the CSC portal, my application documents were submitted to the embassy, of which I was nominated by the embassy. So the embassy kept track of my application. So, but on the other, we have the type B. Now the type B, you're meant to maybe send a cold email to a professor, or an associate professor who happens to be a potential supervisor in the department. So why the embassy track may offer broader government nominations depending on your country. I would want to encourage applicants to also consider both the type A and type B if they are eligible. So usually for the type B, you have to apply to the professor. So if the professor accepts, the professor issues you an acceptance letter. Now, when he issues you an acceptance letter, which shows that yes, I think that makes up about between 70 to 90% that yes, you have gotten depending on the quota that is given to that university by CSC. Yeah, because usually CSC issues quota to each university. Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll be in 70 to 90% sure of getting that scholarship if the professor, and then maybe if the professor is highly ranked.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so now let's talk about the research proposal. Now, could you share with us how, like, you wrote your own essay, and then what key elements did you focus on?
Okay. Like I said earlier on, you see, when you write a research proposal, it may not really be the area of focus of that particular professor, but he wants to see that, oh, this person knows how, he has an insight, he has an experience of he has a research experience. He or she may not necessarily have carried out a research, but to the professor, you writing a study plan and you writing a research proposal, he sees the person who writes a research proposal as somebody who is really ready for what is at stake. You understand? Unlike study plan, which talks about your course outlines, it talks about reasons why you are coming to China, and then talks about the courses it gives you a breakdown of the what you're supposed to do for each particular semester and each particular year, and also the outcome. But it does not tell why you're doing this. Postgraduate is basically for you to actually gain research experience or skills in research. So that's what is it. So you're writing a proposal, it gives the professor, oh, this person, I think this person is a good fit because he's been able to develop a blueprint of what he wants to do, but it might not be what he wants to do. But basically, you know that when he accepts you, you are doing what he wants, not what you want. Did you get that right? Okay.
Yes.
So, usually, for research proposal, I'll run us through what a research proposal, what is expected. It may not be absolutely exact, but first, you need to, of course, your name comes first, and then you have, for instance, research proposal on, you develop a topic, and the next thing is maybe you have your problem statement. In some cases, you have background. You have a background, and then you have problem. But problem statement is the major thing, because they want to see that, okay, there is a problem that you have identified. Because the purpose of a research is first you identify a problem. Because if there is no problem, what are you solving? Because that's what research is all about. You need to solve something. So you must first identify a problem. Then, in some cases, they say, okay, you can hypothesize, and then the research must have an aim, or what we call primary objective. Yeah, an aim. Then you should be able to tell them about the relevance or justification of why you want to do that research. Why are you doing it? Yeah. And then also the methods. How are you going to do it? Is it something that is doable or something you have just said abstractly? No. It must be something that has to go through process, methods. And then you can have maybe theoretical background or expected outcomes. So these are the basic contents of what the research proposal mainly look. You can also, in some cases, you can attach timelines on how you're going to carry out the research. I think that comes before the expected outcome. Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically what it entails. Just give them something to show that you really have an idea. You're really prepared for what is ahead.
So, do they need to add like maybe literature review or maybe references?
Literature review. If you want to do a complete plan, of course, it's okay for you to add literature review, but the literature review are much more needed when you're writing a project. Maybe you are really into the study. So literature review is usually when you're writing a thesis or maybe you're writing literature review is needed. But for proposals, not necessary. Not necessary.
Yes. So is there like a word count?
Usually, thank you very much for this. Usually, when you say research proposal, it's not like you want to write something that is just make something 2 to 3 page. I think it's okay, like a concept note. In some cases, some will even tell you just put something. They want to see something, just draft something. So I think it should be between 3 pages, 2 to 3 pages is okay for a concept note.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Except you're doing a PhD, yes, you want to show the professor, yes, I'm ready for this research. Yeah, for PhD is usually beyond that. Yeah, you have to give a complete structure. You don't have to pet the. But for masters, I think a concept note is better. It's okay.
Okay. So thank you very much for sharing your tips and ideas on how to write the research proposal. Is it possible to apply to multiple universities when applying for the Chinese government scholarship?
Yes, it's possible. It's possible. Well, however, if you are applying for CSC before now, I think during my time, I think it was after my set or the set after us, where we before now it used to be you're meant to select 3 universities, but now it has been streamlined to just one. So I usually advise that the applicants should first and foremost they should be able to apply first to the university to see maybe the schools or the universities where they are being accepted before completing the application on the CSC portal. So it's good for you to apply to so many schools. Just send cold emails to professors. Send cold emails. So if you have maybe at least one, or even more than one, you can compare before completing the application on the CSC portal. Because the moment you complete the application on the CSC portal, you cannot change. You cannot reverse it. Yeah. So, and that's why I would advise that as an applicant, the first thing you need to do is first send emails to professors in different universities. And I also advise that if you are sending an application to a particular professor in a department, please do not send to someone within that same department again. Usually, if you must send to maybe professors within the department, you can wait for like maybe 2 to 3 days after, if you don't get a reply. So, but if maybe the professors are in different departments and in the same university and you have interest, you can do that. But within the same department, it's not advisable. So, the point is you try to send emails to different universities. cold emails to professors in different universities, then so that before completing the application on the CSC portal. It's
Okay.
that's my advice.
Yeah, thank you very much for your advice. Really appreciate. Now, the next question: were there any interviews or exams involved during the application process? If yes, what should applicants expect? What kind of questions should applicants expect?
Thank you so much for this question. Actually, it depends on the university. Some universities usually conduct interviews, especially for postgraduate applicants, while others will make decisions based on the documents you provide.
Okay.
Or you provided. Yeah. Usually, when you're interviewed, the expected questions. Sometimes they ask you for postgraduates. I remember during my time, I was meant to prepare PowerPoints. Now, in PowerPoints, you talk about your academic background, you talk about your research interests. Yeah, if possible, you can actually prepare. You can prepare something like a research proposal, research proposal. What do you want to do? And then afterwards, you have future career plans. Yes, you'll be questioned. Definitely, you'll be questioned. Now, some of the questions may likely be, why are you interested in this field? Let's take for instance, let's take for instance, you are a medical doctor. You're a medical doctor, right? Like you did MBBS during your undergraduate, and then you want to venture into public health. They could ask you, okay, why do you want to do a master's in public health? So you should be able to say, okay, yeah, we know they are kind of interrelated. Now you could say, okay, as a medical student during my undergraduate days as a medical student, I undertook a course in epidemiology or in public health. I got interested. You could say something about maybe you were taught about courses. Maybe let's take for instance, they talked about communicable or non-infectious diseases. So you got interested, so that's why you want to venture into public health to see how you can actually tackle or curb non-infectious disease. So that's why you're taking. You believe that skills that you would obtain during your MPH studies could actually help to mitigate. These are possible questions that could be asked.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that insight. Yeah. So another question I would like to ask is from your perspective, what common mistakes do prospective applicants make when applying for this scholarship, and then how can they avoid those mistakes?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for this question. Yeah, one common mistakes is I highlighted it earlier on about where I said if you are sending cold emails to professors, do not send similar emails, or do not send multiple emails to professors in the same department, because it will appear to be generic. And if you apply, let's take for instance, the application method for someone who wants to study clinical medicine differs from someone who wants to study MPH, that is Masters of Public Health. They are different. So you don't use the same application. Yeah, the documents might appear the same. Are you with me? The documents might appear the same. Yeah, but then the documents required might appear to be similar, but your motivation, your your research proposal would not be the same. Definitely it's not going to be the same. You want to study non-infectious disease, but you could actually, someone who wants to, maybe somebody who wants to do clinical medicine he might want to study how that non-infectious disease can actually affect a particular organ. You see, but you who is studying who wants to undertake NPH program, you might be referring the non-infectious disease to an exposure, which is maybe, for instance, like a chemical substance. You see the difference?
Yeah.
So you're in two different departments. So this one is practical oriented. He has to go to he has to visit patients to check if it is that disease is actually affecting an organ or a system or whatever. Do you get me? But you are looking at it in the public space. You are looking at that disease in the public space. What could trigger it or what could cause it? You see that there are two different things entirely. So that's one mistake most people make when they are applying. So usually when you want to apply to universities, you should try to avoid generic applications, and also starting too late. You don't wait for. Usually, when you want to apply for scholarship, you plan ahead. You don't wait until it begins. You plan for it, because planning makes you have explored a lot of things. But when you by chance, you understand, the application comes into play, what would you do? That could actually make you to become confused. So usually you plan ahead. First, you need to you want to apply for a scholarship. There are documents you need to put in place. You don't wait for, especially for instance in Nigeria, for you to get transcript. You know the process involved. So you will not wait until when it's ready before you now go and apply for your transcript, for your school to mail your transcript to you. It's not possible. So usually you plan, you prepare your documents, you prepare your international passports, you do the necessary medical examination. You also get your police, get them in place. We know some of these documents, like the medical certificate, the foreign fiscal examination form, and also the police character certificates. We know they have a time frame. Usually, I think for PCC, it's about 3 months. For the medical foreign fiscal examination form is around 6 months. It expires. So you prepare them, just plan your time towards that November and January. Get these documents ready and prepare your mindset on what you want to do. Tailor your program to maybe the particular field of interest you want to venture into or engage. You want to explore, and I use the word explore because it's research. So careful preparation and attention to details can make a significant difference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. It was very helpful. I'm sure it will help someone that's looking to apply for this scholarship, help them avoid these mistakes. Now, the next question: what was your biggest cultural shock when you moved to China, and how did you adjust academically and socially in a new country?
Oh, thank you very much. The biggest adjustment was adapting to different language and cultural environment. When you go into a new country and then you discover that majority of them don't speak English. You know how it is. I remember when I was transiting from Belgium to Nanjing, where I reside. Oh man, I was just at that point in time, coming from Nigeria, even the phone I was using wasn't smart enough. It was just I have to wait for minutes. Sometimes the guys, the Chinese, the Chinese people I meet on they just feel this guy is joking. Some of them even just ignore me and just keep going. So, but fortunately, the university community was very welcoming. When I arrived there, they were really welcoming. So I made an effort to learn basic Mandarin, even though I'm not too perfect. I also participated in student activities and interacted with both Chinese and international students. At least I was able to participate in the debate between Chinese and foreign students. Yeah, I anchored it actually several times. So academically, I adapted by developing good time management skills and actively engaged with my supervisors and classmates. Thanks. It was really an experience. It was really an experience.
You can only imagine. Yeah. Thank you very much for that answer. Now, the next question: are there like any obligations or commitments required after completing the scholarship? Maybe like you have to return to your home country after your studies.
Yeah, generally, there is no universal requirement under the CSC Scholarship to return immediately after transition. No, they're not imposing that. But however, the applicant should carefully read the specific condition attached to their scholarship, because requirement can vary depending on the scholarship category or the nominating organization. Okay, like for everything falls in line with China's policy. You understand? So, like, if you're done with your studies, according to the Chinese law, the rules and regulations, you're meant to leave the country maybe after 1 month of graduation. So, usually you leave. But if you have a job, you could maybe, or if you want to proceed with further education, if you got it, so you can actually, but their policy says, not the CSC rather, but the Chinese policy, you have to return back home. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so does the scholarship accommodate dependents?
Not at all. Not at all. The scholarship does not accommodate dependents. It's only designed for individual students and does not provide financial support for dependents. So applicants planning to relocate with family should carefully review university's policies and budget accordingly. So usually some schools, some universities even make plans. So those who have maybe dependents, maybe family, maybe some schools, but not CSC, but some schools do it. So, but for here in my university, no. The university is strictly medical, so they are really strict. You have to abide. I think basically it's the way the medical universities are.
Yeah. So, are there like other scholarships or funding opportunities in China that you would recommend applicants explore also?
Yeah, there are so many scholarships in China. Yes, but besides the Chinese government scholarship. Yeah. There are, for those who are maybe, for instance, who are less than 35 years, there is a much more bigger scholarship than the Chinese government scholarship. But the only difference is the Chinese government scholarship, it's actually what is coming from the government. But there is also another one known as the ANSO scholarship. Then there's also the Schwarzman scholarship. There are also Chinese scholarship. And then we also have those offered by many universities, ranging from presidential scholarship, provincial government scholarship, municipal scholarships, and university-specific funding scheme. That's, I think, is specifically if your lab has a grant. Basically, I think basically it's for the PhD students. While some institutions also provide tuition waivers and research assistantship for outstanding international students.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. But before we wrap up, I just want to ask, is there like anything we didn't ask that you think prospective applicants should know about the Chinese government scholarship?
Yes, I would encourage applicants to first start preparing early. Don't focus only on meeting the minimum requirements. Work on building a strong academic profile through research, publications if possible, leadership and community service. Most importantly, be authentic in your application. Let your motivation or let your research proposal, experience, and long-term vision come through clearly. Okay. I think that will be all. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. Like I said, thank you for sharing your experience with us today. I'm sure this conversation will help a lot of people considering this scholarship. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Joan. It's really been a pleasure sharing the experience, and I hope our conversation encourages more students to pursue international scholarship opportunities with confidence. The application process is challenging, but with proper preparation, persistence, and a clear sense of purpose, it is absolutely achievable.
I agree.
Sure. I wish all prospective applicants the very best in their scholarship journey.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so to our listeners, we hope you found this episode helpful. Remember, opportunities like this can open doors to many amazing experiences and a chance to make a real difference. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to share it with someone who dreams of studying abroad. And then can also drop your questions in the comment section. Don't forget to follow Scholar Chit Chat for more scholarship stories, application tips, and conversations with scholars from around the world. So until next time, keep learning, keep applying, and then your scholarship story could be next. Thank you. Bye.